How's everybody doing? Are there any workers in the house? We need workers. We need you out there working. God bless you. It's so great to be here. Congratulations to our hosts, the Southern Republican Leadership Conference. Thank you all so much for the great effort. This has been a beautiful conference and a wonderful opportunity for Republicans and conservatives and like-minded souls to come together and get ready for the fight that lies ahead. Are you ready? Yes. Are you ready? Yes. All right, let's get busy. Now, I'm going to bring it on. Now, before I bring it on, I must share with you one little thought, and this is a little lesson I want everyone to take with them as you leave from here today. In life, you realize very quickly that you can't please everyone, but you can certainly make them all mad at you at the same time. And that is a lesson well learned. It is an opportunity as well, because folks have been mad at us in the past, and we have learned from that past. And we're now ready to move on into a brighter future as leaders, as Republicans, as conservatives. And you are on the front line of this new surge to take back our country. Now, you can't go wrong in an election year to start off with a quote from the founders. It was Thomas Jefferson who said, "The issue today is the same as it has been throughout all history, whether man shall be allowed to govern himself or be ruled by a small elite." I guess some things haven't changed. Republicans get accused by the other side of having a message based on fear. Well, they're right. But the founding fathers were fearful first. They were afraid of unchecked power in government, and so are we. They drafted the Constitution for the sole purpose of taming that beast, and today we can see why, as we watch that beast sink its teeth deeper into the pocketbooks of every American citizen. The sad fact is we live in a time when the Constitution has lost its sway over those who would govern us. There's a small elite, as Jefferson called them, in Washington, which views the 2 years between elections not as a time to earn the public's trust, but rather as their opportunity for unchallenged social experimentation. As I meet with you, the grassroots of America, I've never seen the kind of anger that is brewing right now. Now, smart people who study this kind of thing tell us that anger is usually a mask for fear. Now, why on earth would the citizens of the greatest nation on earth have any reason to be fearful? It's because we love our country. We love those first principles of liberty and opportunity. We love the American dream. We want it for ourselves and for our children. This is the promised land. This is the place that people have always come to, by land, by sea, by hook or by crook. When people living under tyrants and thugs are secretly planning their escape, this land is their preferred destination. Now, why is that? Is it because our soil grows better corn? Is it something in the water? Are we just nicer here? Well, if you've spent any time in rush hour traffic, you know that's not necessarily the case. You see, America is supposed to be the place you come to so the tentacles of big government no longer reach you. This is the place where, as long as you don't hurt someone else, you can pretty much do what you want. You're free to work hard, to save smart, and to pass on a lasting legacy of values and wealth to your kids. In America, success is not our enemy, because we all expect to succeed here. Prosperity isn't something we punish, because this is the one place where prosperity is a real possibility every single day for anyone who wants it. In America, no one wakes up in the morning and looks in the mirror and say, all I want to be today is poor. That doesn't happen in America. No matter where you come from, no matter who your parents are or where they came from, folks of all stripes and all struggles have made it here. That is the point of America. Our enemies have never been the wealthy or the strong. Our only enemies are those who would threaten our lives and our liberties. The whole point of the Constitution was to keep the government from becoming an enemy of the people. That's why our Constitution-shredding president and his congressional accomplices scare the pants off of the American people. Now, at a time when Americans are losing jobs with no end in sight, when great American companies are under siege, Congress should be focused on nothing else except restoring economic growth and stability for our job-creating sector. Instead, every single piece of legislation Democrats in Washington have passed has been a job killer, from cap and trade to the fraudulent so-called stimulus. And now, with the government takeover of health care, Democrats are committing the worst kind of economic malpractice. And Americans, that would be you, are fed up and are ready to throw the bums out in November. Now, let me ask you a question. Are you inspired by America? Are you inspired by America? Are you moved by her story? Well, you should be, because that inspiration comes from you, and her story is yours. But they don't understand it that way in Washington. We all want to be inspired. And we want to be inspired in the right way for the right reasons. Barack Obama inspired America last year. But he did it the wrong way. He talked about hope without an action plan. Change without telling us what it was he wanted to change. Well, now we know. And America says, no way, no how. America says no to government-run health care, no to government-owned car companies, no to government-controlled banks, and no to bigger and bigger government. No, no, no. And let me just offer this little warning to our friends in Washington. When America says no, you better listen. Just ask Bart Stupak. When we say that it's a new day of accountability, we mean it. Now, Mr. Stupak is trying to run around and claim that he's not the first casualty of the Americans are out here saying no to bigger government. Well, Mr. Stupak, sorry, bro, you are. And there are many more to follow. Many, many more to follow. So, bye-bye, Stupak. You need to understand something here, folks. We're not in a nanny state-induced coma like Europe and Canada. When Democrats in Congress passed a giant welfare package and called it a stimulus bill, we didn't whine. We organized. When Nancy Pelosi and her minions passed the job-killing, economy-crushing cap-and-trade scheme to tax and manage America's energy consumption, we didn't shrug our shoulders. We raised up principled conservative candidates to run to defeat them. When Democrats saddled us with controlling shares in car companies that union bosses had driven into financial ruin, we didn't complain. We drove ourselves to a tea party. When Democrats started counting down to the end of the Bush tax cuts with glee, we didn't give up. We started counting down to this November with glee. When Democrats told us we just had to get used to a new normal of high unemployment, spending binges, and trillion-dollar deficits, we didn't put ourselves in the fetal position. We put an expiration date on their majority in Congress, November 2nd, 2010. Now, unfazed by America's alarm at the course they've chosen, Democrats started this health care takeover nonsense. We thought they wouldn't do it in the end. We did, didn't we? Well, that's what you get for putting your trust in Democrats. We thought the rallies and Capitol switchboard meltdowns and the protests and the outcry would remind the Democrats who they work for. But instead, they passed the most radical power grab in this country's history. At a time when our leaders should have been focused on creating jobs and kickstarting the engine of growth, they passed the job-killing, recovery-choking government takeover of 1/6 of our economy. On every level, folks, every level, Democrats in power have proven to be the greatest hazard to our national health. Now, the President just declared April National Financial Literacy Month. Bet you didn't know that, did you? And I bet you didn't know how illiterate you were. But they seem to think you are. Now, they've called on Americans, that would be you and our neighbors. Now, okay, don't laugh at this, because this is the serious part. To educate themselves about basic concepts, how to balance a checkbook, save for a child's education, steer clear of deceptive financial products, and practices, those two, plan for retirement, and I like this one, avoid accumulating excessive debt. Now, see, I asked y'all not to laugh at that. They're serious. Okay, now let me get this straight. The president who broke a world record by raising the debt ceiling a few short months ago by $1.9 trillion tells us he wants to educate us on how not to create excessive debt. Now, all I want to know is what part of the $14.3 trillion debt he's created does he not think is excessive? We clearly have a lot more to learn. You got to write this stuff down because you can't follow it. You got to write it down. In place of this administration's wrong priorities and economic ignorance, and this is the serious part, the American people are asking, how do we get our country back? How do we stop this craziness? I love the people. I'll tell you how we get our country back, folks. Fire Nancy Pelosi. Fire her. I'll tell you how to repeal and replace the government-run health care system they just tried to put on us. Replace Harry Reid. It will take your help. It will take your leadership. It will take your activism in order for us to take back our country, to take it back from the brink of financial and social chaos, to take it back from the brink of economic rigidity. We can right her course, ladies and gentlemen, and we can prevent the cradle of future generations from being rocked by the hand of an opportunistic and paternalistic government. Washington's cynicism, friends, needs to be replaced by the people's aspirations. But that will only happen when you replace the people in Washington. Now, the electoral march is already on. From Massachusetts to New Jersey to Virginia, the freedom agenda is winning today with a winning message. Shrink government, lower taxes, give people back their freedom, their choices for their families and their future. Empower the job creators instead of the political class. Let's tap into that competitive spirit and, quite frankly, the competence that's only found in the entrepreneurial sector, not in government. That's what makes America great. More choice, less control from Washington, more jobs, fewer bureaucrats, more entrepreneurs, fewer career politicians. But we can't coast into a new majority, nor can we assume it's a sure thing. The liberal media are looking for any possible alternative narrative to tell. Any other headline will do. But here's the one headline Americans know to be the truest. Democrats trust government more than they trust the American people. That's a headline that's screaming all across this land. That's the headline that families are confronting at their kitchen tables every night. That's the headline small business owners are opening their doors to every day. That's the headline you and I will change by empowering America to take their government back. They are looking for those distractions. And Lord knows I've provided a few. And I understand the difficulties sometimes of balancing all of these challenges. But Democrats also know they have some explaining to do. And they love nothing more than for us to keep pointing fingers at me and others instead of their radical un-American agenda. And we shouldn't fall for that trap. I'm the first here to admit I've made mistakes. And it's been incumbent on me to take responsibility, shoulder that burden, make the necessary changes, and move on. We've all had to do that from time to time. But the one mistake we cannot make this November is to lose. The one mistake we cannot afford to make is to lose. I also know that some in our movement are questioning whether our nation has what it takes to recover from the burdens of this Congress and this administration, whether too much damage has been done to the American character. They worry that the enemies of liberty and of American exceptionalism have had the last word. As we watch the assault on our country, some are naturally wondering if we will come out of it on the other side with our freedoms intact, with the American spirit unbroken. Well, let me tell you something. I know that the American soul has been through some dark nights in the past. You can always tell that the city on a hill is still shining brightly by the ferocity of the fight that emerges to savor. Sometimes it's only by the light of the rockets bursting around you that you can see the banner still waving, still flying. But every time we've had to face a night of testing and of peril, the dawn breaks through the haze of the battlefield, and the sun rises on liberty once again. This is the morning of America. I assure you that through the light of this coming dawn, our flag, our freedoms are still there. That's why we fight. That's why we fight. That's why we fight. That's why we fight. That is why we fight every single day. We don't want America to be confused right now. We want to speak with clarity. We want to speak with understanding. We want to speak with hope. We don't want America to be confused. So let's tune out all the background noise and go on offense. Let's take it to them. Let's take it to the streets. Let's take it to the neighborhoods. Let's take it to the workplaces. Let's take it to communities we have never been in before. Let's take it to the back alleys and the front alleys, the corner drugstores and the boardrooms, and share a message of empowerment and opportunity. Let's tell America we are alive because we're free, and we're free because we believe in the principles that have been grounded in the Constitution that protect us every single day. We are free because we fight for that freedom. It's going to take a lot of work, a lot of support, a lot of time and money and legwork and phone calls, yard signs and Facebook, Twitter. Y'all tweet, don't you? If you don't, learn how. I'm serious. Call me, I'll help you. Because we've got to talk to America. We've got to spend time with America. We got to help the fog be removed from their eyes. We got to drain the Kool-Aid from their veins. We got to help them understand what freedom is all about, and that they already have it in their hands as they build their businesses, they educate their kids, they create an America for tomorrow. If you leave this conference with nothing else, take this with you. It's never too late in America. It's never too late in America. President Obama talked about, yes, we can. We're going to go talk to America about what we will do. It's a big difference. What we will do. What we will do is rely on the ingenuity and the commitment of the people of this country, not the programs and the bureaucracies of government. What we will do is engage America anew. Speak to her with truth. Speak to her with vision. Speak to her through action. Ronald Reagan noted famously when asked about his strategy for the Cold War, we win, they lose. With your help, with your support, we can restore the strength, the growth, the birthright of liberty and prosperity that generations of Americans have always passed on to their children. That's the legacy we leave. That's the legacy the greatest generation has passed on to us. That is the legacy we must now fight to pass on to our kids and our grandkids. It's worth the fight, folks. We will be the generation to keep that promise. And come November, we win. they lose. Thank you.